Well, good midday to you, one and all. I got busy doing some other stuff, and the next thing you know, I looked up and boom, it was time to roll. Hey, Kathy, how are you? Good to have you with us. As we're coming on board, normally I try to give 5 minutes and filling out some information and trying to get everything straightened out and all that other kind of wild stuff. And in doing so, I was here so that I could make sure that Katrina could fax this good stuff off for me. Erica, Gina, how are you? Praying that all is well with you and yours. I see y'all as you're coming on. Um, don't ask me what happened because I don't have a clue, but I'm back. Oh my God. Faye, how are you? Minister Faye. No, Faye. Yeah. Faye. Wait a minute. Faye Roberts, Faye Poindexter, Doe, how you doing? Sylvia Scott, Thea, Cecile, how are you? I looked up and I saw all those Fays and I got confused for a second, okay? But I want to thank each and every one of you for being with us. Gaither, how are you? Good midday to you, one and all. I'm going to wait a couple of more minutes. Um, and then here we go. And all is well. I will share. Oh no, I was just like, oh my goodness, that was amazing. But I do have a major testimony to share with you, Pastor Elect Jordan. Ella May, dear, how are you? And I've learned some things, and I'm learning some things, and I'm growing in some things. Hey Terry, A, how are you? And just grateful to God that all is as well as it is. Pee Wee, good afternoon to you. Okay, good to have you with us as well. So yeah, I'm multitasking, and then I'll share with you at the end what the Lord has done and is doing. And I was filling out some other forms and things that I needed to get done, and just lost track of time. Okay. But I'm here. Yeah, I heard something about hey Bobby, I heard something about a mass shooting. I I haven't had time to look at anything because just a lot going on. Lisa, how are you? Um, it's an amazing thing. Come back from vacation and come back running. Just doing all kind of things. Okay. All right, Denise. I'm trying to get a day in so that I can get my second booster, and that's some of the things that I'll share with you with everything that's going on right now. I don't have a, a couple of days where I can just be prepared for the side effects. It's wild right now. Jemison, how are you? So let's get started. Let's go ahead and get started, and I'll share with you at the end what's what, and then we can go from there. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm running for Jesus. Okay. And it's now with you being in Texas, I'm not sure where, but I can go to the health department and get mines. I'm not sure, but let me see if I can look something up for you. I know 50 years and older, and they say uh, maybe pre-existing conditions, but that doesn't really matter. Jaleesa, how are you? I'm gonna get you. Barbara, how you doing? Okay. And let me check into that for you. Let me get to Matthew chapter 6, and I'll share some stuff on the other end. Good midday to you, Carletta. How are you? You got my, yeah, I'm going to the health department to get mine. I'm trying to get it Monday so that if there are any effects, it won't affect the rest of my week to do what I need to do. And I just got to do what I need to do. Minister Faye, how are you? You got yours at Walgreens? So let me ask you this question, Minister Marcia, how you doing? Cecile's in Texas, so I'm not sure how that works. Sean, what's up, man? Good to have you with us. And let me get into the lesson, and we'll talk about the other stuff on the end of it. So we see here, and remember on yesterday when I dealt with verse 13. And in verse 13, it says, do not lead us into temptation. But what I was actually saying with the actual, hey, Sabrina, hey, dear, what the Greek actually says. And that's an important thing for us to recognize, to grasp, and to understand if we are going to really know what the Lord is saying. Okay. Chaplain Hearns, how are you? Laverne, how are you? Raymond, Vernice, good to have you with us. Okay, what he's actually saying is do not allow us to be led into temptation. Okay, all right. Yeah, we're going to pray for New York. I haven't gotten I haven't gotten the full. Oh, they threw a smoke bomb in the train and then started. I'm 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 telling y'all. And I posted something on Facebook, and I really didn't have an opportunity to look to see what the response was. But the Lord is just leading me into a 10-day Daniel fast. I don't know when. I'm waiting on him to tell me when to do something. Somebody might say, well, you ought to be able to just do. No, I got the instructions. I just don't have the date. And if you have been reading and some of the most powerful readings that we have been dealing with in the Old Testament, especially in 1 Samuel. Hey, Yana, how are you? Praying for you, dear. In 1 Samuel, when Samuel told Saul to kill, I believe it's either the Amalekites or the Philistines. I'm not sure which one it is. He told them to kill everything. Cattle, whatever the case may be, eradicate them, remove them. Saul, quote unquote, under people pressure, allowed them to keep some of the animals and things. And Samuel heard the animals. I mean, this stuff is just blowing me out of the water because, Sharon, how you doing? They didn't have cell phones. They didn't have any of these means of communication that we deal with now. He said, kill everything, but Saul disobeyed. And because of Saul's disobedience, he was removed from the throne. Even, get this, even after he begged Samuel for forgiveness and worshiped, it did not change the removal of Saul as the king of Israel. Why? Because he did not do things exactly the way God says for them to be done. And so I'm using that to preface and to help you understand that when it comes to the fast, the 10-day fast that's coming up, I will not move until God gives me the date to move. That's the end of that conversation. But there's a 10-day Daniel fast coming up. The number 10 is the number for governments. Okay. is the number. Okay, Minister Faye, you know what I'm talking about. I know I got some folk that's reading through this Bible with me. And when I tell you it is blowing me out of the water this time, it is absolutely unbelievable. So when the time comes, we'll move in that direction. And no, I'm not going to lose my blessing. I'm telling you right now, there's too much at stake. There are too many lives and livelihoods and deliverances and freedoms and things that come through my obedience. And to disobey means that I will rob the people of what God has in store for them. So we need to make sure that we don't allow us to be led into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. And then he deals with something here that has to be understood, and it must be grasped, and it must be applied. And here's where it's going to get a little rough. And it has to be applied even when you don't want to. I wish I had 10 people that are hearing what I'm saying. Even when you don't want to. Here's what it says. For if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. Get this. And this is Jesus talking. Jesus is trying to get you to understand the power and the release in forgiveness. Oh, one of these days I'm going to teach on the numbers of that are in the Bible. And Chaplain Hearns, where that's found is in 1 Samuel. Obedience is better than sacrifice. And so here's the thing that must be understood. It must be grasped. It must be developed and participated in. That's right, Cecile, because it's personal. If you forgive people who have wronged you, your heavenly Father will forgive you. Isn't it amazing how much we want God to forgive us, but we will forgive but not forget? Now listen to what I'm saying. When Paul talks about forgetting those things which are behind, he is not saying that they are erased, Sean, from your memory. Pastor-elect Jordan, I hope you catch this. They're not erased from your memory, but the memory does not control your present or future. Oh, God, help me to teach this like you gave it to me. See, people can hold you hostage that are even dead because of the fact that you are not willing to let go of what they've done to you. Now, it says here, if you forgive, you'll be forgiven. All right. But if you do not forgive, you will not be forgiven. I don't know about anybody else, but I cannot live. I cannot live. Does Jesus forget? No, it's never forgotten. But whatever has happened, I want to talk about Jesus and forgetting for just a second, Sean, to see if I can help you with this. You got to remember that Jesus is the God man. Now, I want you to catch this. He's just as much God as he is man. Jesus, that's where the Garden of Gethsemane during this Holy Week period of time, that's why the Garden of Gethsemane is such a pivotal and powerful moment in the life of Christ, because you have to understand that because he's the God man, he recognized clearly that he was getting ready to die for folk that didn't even love him, that weren't a part of the kingdom, weren't even it had anything to do with God whatsoever. They were actually enemies, and that includes us, enemies against God. So does that struggle exist but conquered? And this is what you got to remember. When Jesus was in the garden, he said, if it's possible, let this cup pass from me. And he continued to pray. As he continued to pray, his Father scintillated in his spirit to the point that he recognized that it was imperative Jesus' presence was more than walking on water, more than changing water to wine, more than cleaning lepers, more than forgiving women, more than raising the dead. The perpetuity by which he was originally born was to set us free. Donna, how you doing? Set us free from what? From sin. So here's his wrestling match. He knows we hate him. He knows we're disobedient. He knows that we won't follow correctly. And yet still he said, not my will, but your will be done. And the release of Jesus was the fact that even though he knew what was coming and the detriment behind what he was getting ready to experience, he willfully stepped into his perpetuity. That's why there's no other religion that does for you what Jesus does in our relationship with God. He creates a personification, a personalized experience in the flesh that helps us to understand that even in the midst of everything that people do to us and how they mistreat us and they dog us out and they lie on us and they all kind of crazy stuff, the power of walking with God is to recognize that forgiving people does not release them, it releases you. Yes, before the foundation of the world, it was already preordained that Jesus would die, but it took time to catch up with what eternity had already determined. Oh, listen. Sean, that's the shout. So if we are to live free, if we are to live, see, everybody want to be powerful, everybody want to lay hands, everybody, but how many people are willing to forgive folk that dogged you and treated you like dirt? And so if you won't forgive, you will not be forgiven by your Father. And the sad part about it is he died that we be forgiven. Did you catch that? Did you catch that? That is so powerfully important for us to recognize and to understand. Listen, I'm done for today. Got a couple of things wanted to share with you. Okay. No, Sean, not many, but guess what? I'm glad he did. And seeing that I'm his child, it's just like anything else, Sean. My children have ways about them that reflects the fact that they're my children. Ooh, Lord. Old folk used to say a long time ago, if the kids don't have some characteristics of me, it's a dead cat on the line somewhere. So there are ways, a Harrison, but I'm gonna tell you this just happened when I went to the wake. The late Myrna Aiken's son had passed, and I went to the wake. And when I went there, I passed Reggie's mom. And I said, hey, how are you? How you doing? Well, we got a mask on. So she didn't really recognize who I was, but she heard my voice. When she heard my voice, she knew it was me. Now, let me help you. Let me help you with this. Let me help you because I think this will set you free if you let it. The voice I have is not my voice. It's my Father's voice. When you hear me talk or my brother talk or our sons talk, we all have basically the same depth, the same cadence. Okay. All of those things we did not originate. They were passed down to us by our Father, just as my Father's voice was passed to me. My voice is passed to my son, and his voice is passed to his son. You know a Harrison by the way we walk and by the way we talk. And the same Jesus that forgives, the imprint, the indelible imprint of who we are in him is in the fact that we act like him, even when it comes to forgiveness. I didn't say that I don't mess up, because I do. First John 1 and 9 helps me there because I refuse. Y'all gonna catch this. I refuse to be held hostage. All right, now listen. Let me share a couple of things with you. First of all, I need you to pray. Keep Lady Harrison lifted up in prayer tomorrow. We're going to take her to the Cole Eye Clinic in Cleveland. She has to have cataract surgery done, and we're praying that she comes through more than a conqueror. We're praying and believing God. It's already done. The second thing that I wanted to share with you is a praise report. If you remember, my doctor has been my dermatologist has been working and doing all kinds of things to try to get me back on my Taltz, and come to find out, Taltz, I just didn't qualify for it. Moved over to Humira. The out-of-pocket cost was $3,126 a month. I just went before the Lord and I was like, Lord, I know you'll work this out. Remember I told you about this? I've been through too much to get shaken when the next episode happens. You better hear what I'm saying. I trusted God. Got on the phone yesterday, I got to call the nurse back from Humira. Found out that I qualified for a program that the out-of-pocket cost will only be $59 a month. Y'all didn't hear that. From $3,126 a month to $59 a month. I need to let that sink. See, when you've been down the roads of life and you recognize that God will bring you out and take care of you, you quit getting bent out of shape when obstacles come your way, because obstacles are opportunities for God to show who he is. I'm all right. And that's what happens. I was getting ready to send off the rest of the information that was needed. The other information that's gone to the dermatologist. They told me, you're approved. We just need to do such and such and such and such. In 2 weeks, I'll have a 3-month supply of my medication. Glory to God. And let me tell you something. Are y'all got a couple of minutes? Can I take a couple of minutes? I need to take a couple of minutes so you can catch this. My dermatologist had given me a couple of injections of Taltz. And I held off on doing it because I didn't know how long this process was going to take. So I just took my first injection last week. The outbreaks had started. She told me point blank. She said, you have been off of your medication for 3 going on 4 months. You're going to start to see the effects of it. And the scabs were coming back. And I have stuff to put on there, but it wasn't working. And so I was starting to scale up and all of that. But in the midst of scaling up, I was still trusting God. You better hear me. See, it's one thing to talk about trust. It's another thing to know you have nobody but him to trust. And when I got on the phone yesterday and went through what I went through, because I tried to do it online and it kicked something out and this didn't work and that didn't work. And finally I called the 888 number and they took me through the process. I mean, like this. And I told them what our income was, all of that. And the next thing I know, you're approved, just need to fill out some other forms, some other information, and it's done. Did you hear me? We cannot afford to become so easily shaken when the next episode shows up, because they will. And I don't care whether you priest, pastor, potentate, prophet, whatever. No one is exempt. It's one thing to preach about it. It's another thing to live it. So, Laverne, you understand? Yes, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? For those of you who have to take these injections, and Lady Harrison said, I thought you was only going, I said, no, I have to do this the rest of my life because of my immune system being overly productive. And I wasn't sweating it. I wasn't getting bent out of shape. I wasn't going to lose heart. I wasn't going to lose my mind. I got ministry. Y'all better hear me. I got ministry to perform and people to minister to. And in the midst of that process, by being a blessing to people, God blesses. So that's all I wanted to share with you. Thank you for giving me a couple of extra minutes because, you know, I'm trying to do better about time and all of that stuff. And so keep Lady Harrison in prayer. We know it's going to be all right. We know it's going to be fine. She's had bad eyes all her life. This is just a part of what we got to go through and deal with. God will bring her through like he brought her through before. I have to take care of her. So I'm taking her up there in the morning to do what needs to be done. The next day, I'm taking her back so that they can do the follow-up and whatever needs to be done. That's the end of the conversation. Everything else is on hold until I see about her to make sure she's okay. All right. Number one priority. God is number one, but that's my number one priority. If I don't do it, the Bible says I'm worse than an infidel, and I refuse to be that. Listen, love you one and all. Love you from the depths of my heart. Love you from the depths of my soul. Love you so much. I pray that it's a blessing. I want to thank God for those of you who just continually encourage me, that you love these snapshots. They're being a blessing to you. And so y'all take care, stay safe, do what you need to do. Also, I am believing God that my blood pressure medication is going to be reduced because now when I take it, I become lethargic and sluggish, which means I take my blood pressure in the morning and it's normal in the morning, which means once I take the medication, then it's dropping some. But he already gave me the parameters for me to look at to make sure that I'm at a safe level. But I am believing God. I'm believing God. I mean, after all I've been through, the only medication I'm on is for blood pressure medication and salts. Hey, people my age, they taking all kind of pills and shots and everything else. But to God be the glory for the great things. Listen, I got to go because I'm going to start shouting. Listen, love you. You have a blessed day in the Lord. Don't forget, I'm not sure what time tomorrow, depending upon what time we get back from Cleveland. I may be able to do a snapshot. I may not be able to do one. I'm going to do what I need to do. Listen, love you, one and all. Have a blessed day in the Lord. But don't forget, tomorrow at 6:30 is going to be midweek worship. You better meet me here because the Lord has something to say. May God bless you and may he keep you is our prayer.